Hey internets, Pixel Geek here with another weekly episode of The Focus, the show that puts the focus on designers, developers, and entrepreneurs like yourselves. Today, I'm joined by Chris Perryman, and she was a speaker at the Front End North County Developers Meetup, and I saw her talk there, and hearing how she got from the start of her career to where she is right now, it really kind of fascinated me that it was a different path that I've heard in a long time. So, Chris, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome to have you here. First off, is your office usually in the kitchen?
Yeah, most of the time. So, one of the reasons that I love what I do right now is that it's so flexible. My husband's in the military, so we could be moving. He's got random days off, and a lot of times I don't see him. So it's nice to be at home. I'm actually in the process of building like a legit office off the side of the house, but for now, I'm in the little corner of the kitchen. So.
Well, isn't that the beauty of the web? You can work anywhere. It can be in the kitchen or Starbucks or whatever.
Yep. It's great.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, when I first met you, like I said, it kind of fascinated me, your path. Can you tell the viewers quickly your path from where you started into where you are now?
Sure. So, in high school, actually, I started working for a small real estate agency, and I initially was just doing like the front desk and all that stuff, and eventually got promoted to manager. I'd been doing a lot of real estate stuff with my parents previously. They were property investors, so I kind of figured that was the direction I wanted to go, and figured it'd be good to get some, early experience on my resume. So I spent a lot of time then in college, because in the state of Illinois, I think it's the age of 21, but if you're younger than 21, you can actually get your license early if you have college level courses. So I spent a lot of time doing that stuff and was doing real estate around the Chicagoland area, from high school all the way up until 2006. So, I mean, a lot of times I got kind of just defaulted to doing our advertisements because I was younger and I knew how to use the computer. And I'd always been into like art and creative stuff. So I kind of had like a knack for, just layouts and things in general. And then I got married and moved to California in 2006, and I was in the process of getting my license in California, but it was a lot different. Like there's a lot more rules, there's a lot more cost that goes into it, and then I also came to the realization to be in the market that I wanted to be in was going to take a lot of time and money to break into that. Just the property out here, especially like where we live in North County, San Diego, is very nice, and you kind of have to be an established agent to be able to really start working with those kinds of property owners. So right around that time is when the market tanked and really weeded out a lot of realtors. So if you hadn't been in the game for a while, you really didn't make it through that point. So in the meantime, while I was getting my license, I'd been working with a couple of agents doing like assistant type work in the office and doing all of their marketing. So they didn't really like the way the print advertisements look. So I did custom things for them, which then kind of led into word of mouth, a lot of other people asking if I could do their stuff, not even in the same agencies. So it's like, well, I could kind of make a side business out of this while I figure out what I'm going to do. So I decided I needed a website for myself to promote and just have like a place to have an online portfolio. So I dabbled with some HTML and CSS and stuff like that, and I just really, really liked it. So I started pitching, well, what if we do, single property websites? So I can do a custom property for your high-end client. So that really just kind of, once I just kind of played around in the code and everything, I just loved it so much. So I kind of threw everything else away and just strictly started doing web design and didn't really offer print anymore after a couple of years. So that's essentially what got me here.
So it's just how funny how the world works, because when the whole recession happened, for me, that's when I lost a badass interactive agency job and was going from contractor job to contractor job, and it just felt like I was going nowhere. For you, though, you actually found something better. It seems like that was your kick in life to get somewhere new.
Yeah, totally. And I did have, some reservation at first because I'd spent a lot of time and a lot of money and most of my schooling studying one thing. And I got to a point where I was like, like, do I want to jump into this new course and like change pretty much my whole plan for what I had for my career? Or do I stick with what I was comfortable with and what I'd been doing? And I have to seriously give a lot of credit to my husband and my family. My parents were always really awesome about, educate yourself, be learning something every day, but the formal education is not always necessary if you know what you want to do and you don't necessarily need it to get there.
Wow, interesting how your parents were actually progressive thinkers, because a lot of
Yeah.
people still think, and I'll admit my parents still thought, oh, you still need to go to college even though you like web design. And even in high school, I was like, I don't even know why I'm here because I'm learning everything at home. And so it's nice that your parents told you how it is.
Yeah, so my dad is very successful and he does have a degree, but his degree has nothing to do with his success. And my mom does not have a degree, but she's very well educated and has a lot of respect in like the health community. She does a lot of stuff with health. So, anyways, I mean, they didn't put a lot of pressure on us to go that route. Out of 5 kids in our family, only one of us actually has a degree, and everybody's doing awesome things. So, anyways, I did have a conversation with my mom because I'm a planner and I like to play things kind of safe. And I was like, I just really don't know what to do because I'm so far into this real estate stuff and I really do enjoy it, but I have so much fun doing this other, web creative stuff and it just doesn't feel like work. My mom's like, well, you're just being an idiot at this point. She's like, because you've taken your two favorite things, like artistic creativity and computers, because I always loved being on the computer. She's like, and you found a way to make money doing those things. She's like, what are you even waiting for? So at that point, once my mom like gave her sign off, everything's okay. I was like, all right, I guess I can do this then. And then I also, my husband was really great. He could support us in the beginning when I wasn't making a lot of money at first and just kind of getting things off the road. And he was always very encouraging. There was a lot of stuff to learn in the beginning, like learning code without having anybody teach you. It's not the easiest. So there was times when I got, kind of frustrated, but he was always like, well, you're doing way more than I could ever even try and do. Like, you're so smart, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yay, I'm smart. So there was just a lot of encouragement from my family.
Awesome. That's really good to hear. So your agency, Revelation Concept, what's in the name?
So Revelation is the last chapter in the Bible for those of us who read it. And I've always been super intrigued just by the imagery and the way that a message is portrayed really through just imagery. There's a lot of mystery to it, but there's also, some strong points in there. And so I kind of just thought that I would name my company based around the idea that we can tell stories in picture. But also, there's some good rhetoric that goes along with that, especially like in web, everyone's like content is king. And I do believe that. I think content is super important, but I also think that the design is what gets somebody initially to want to stick around and look at what the content has to say.
You started this agency, from the ashes of the recession, but what makes your company different than the rest of small businesses that are around San Diego and the freelancers that just do it on the side?
Sure. So I really don't like the term freelancer as it relates to what I do because I feel like especially a lot of people have been burned by freelancers. And in the very beginning, I always considered it an agency, even though it was, for the longest time, just me. I really went out of my way to give it the quality of service, the correspondence, just everything that it takes to set yourself apart from just a casual freelancer and, and what the differences are between what people have the idea of that being. Not that freelancers are bad, but freelancers have kind of gotten a bad rap. I mean, I've gotten so many client referrals from people who are like, well, I was working with this one guy and then he like did some stuff for me and never called me back. Like, how many times have we heard that story? I don't know why it's such a common thing. But I wanted to kind of step outside of that. So just really gave a strong focus on running everything like a business from the very beginning, and just really being there for my clients more so than I think, most freelancers do. Again, nothing bad against freelancers. I mean, technically I am a freelancer, or was for a long time, but just wanted to kind of break that mold. And
You
then,
want to stay away from that word as far as possible so they can,
yeah,
so the first impression.
to bigger clients, a lot of bigger clients, they don't want to work with a freelancer. You know what I mean? Like a lot of them are looking for an agency to step up and help them. And I have a lot of big clients and they know that it's just me. Maybe they didn't initially when we went under contract or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I just wanted to have a reputation of a solid business that wasn't going to go anywhere. Because that's another, I think, thing. A lot of freelancers they're doing that on the side. Or they might do that for a few years and then go full time into school or whatever they're doing. They don't have a reputation for sticking around.
Those two big clients, did they, when they finally realized it wasn't, like a full-blown agent or, a full-blown agency yet, and it was just you, how did they react? It's
never like something I kept secret. I think a lot of times 90% of my client base is referral. So coming into it, they knew my name, someone had told them about me, and they call, and a lot of times in that initial call, the questions would be like, wait, so how does this run? Are you project manager? Like, what's your place at the agency? And I'm like, I am the agency.
I am? Nice.
Yeah. I never really tried to keep it a secret. I think a lot of people just assumed because I was providing so many services, it's design, it's development, it's all custom work, that there would probably be more than one person involved, and there really wasn't. So, yeah, it wasn't like, and I kind of like that. Like, I think that it can be a benefit to do all of those things. There's no breakdown between communication from a designer to a developer when you're doing both of those things. But it does also limit the amount of work that I can take on at any given time. And, from some of like the business coaches and like people I have relationships with now, they always tell you not to be a one-stop shop. And I was like, well, I'm going to do it anyway.
Nice.
And it works to a certain point, but they're right. Like, you can't do everything. So that's kind of where I am now, trying to get away from doing it all myself and pulling in more help, because it's really the only way you can grow from a certain point.
One of the questions that I love to ask in these series of videos is learning the low points of everyone's career, because everyone gets to them. And if for the watchers at home, if you haven't reached your lowest point, please cherish those as much as the high points in life, because This is the main reason why I do the focus.
So I have a couple.
Okay.
I think the first would have been just initially kind of like an overwhelming feeling of not knowing what to do next. So I knew that I had an interest in, especially the web development side. Like, I do love design, but design's always come sort of easy to me, and I like things that are a little more challenging. And I love the strategic problem solving that goes into like programming, especially. So I knew that I wanted to know more about that, but I didn't even know where to begin as far as like what I should be learning and what those terms were called, because I was looking initially for jobs on Craigslist, like clients on Craigslist, and they're like, you must know, it was like HTML and CSS and JavaScript and PHP. And I'm like, what are all these things? Like, I don't even know what these things are. So it was like trying to choose what to learn next when I didn't even really know how those pieces fit into this overall puzzle. So that was very overwhelming. And there was a few times when I was like, maybe I should just go back to school and like take some night classes. But I personally don't learn very well in that environment, especially when I had learned so much already. I didn't want to be getting preached at with a bunch of stuff that I already knew, and sitting like and feeling like stuck in like a slow-paced class environment where I couldn't just grab the teacher and be like, how do I do this one thing? Because that's all I really want to know how to do. So there was a lot of low points around that time, just feeling super overwhelmed. But, I learned as I went. I took on a lot of projects that were definitely outside of what my capabilities were, and, just charged a fair fee for that. Like, I wasn't charging what an agency would be charging because I was learning in the process. And I wasn't committing to super, quick timelines because I knew that it was going to take me more time to get things done because I was learning along the way. But it worked out for everybody. I got to learn while getting paid, and my clients got like decent work at a lower rate because I was learning. So that was like a really weird, I guess, business model in the beginning, but it definitely panned out. And then I think second to that would probably be just when you're working on your own, you don't have a lot of, and I hadn't worked in an agency previous to this either. So I guess like just having to learn the hard way how to choose good clients, how to get paid. That was like some stuff in the beginning that was just so, like thinking, should I take this person to small claims court over $300? Because to me, like that was a lot of work that went into that $300, and I felt like I justly earned my money and just getting burned. So that was, a great learning experience though. Like you said, like I think you really have to go through something like that to learn how to properly vet clients, because since those early years, I've not had a single bad client.
Nice.
I've really learned how to tell just from the initial phone call whether or not it's somebody that I actually want to work with. And then obviously if you have more work experience, you can charge more money, and that's going to weed out a lot of bad clients too. Because, the guys who are expecting not to pay a lot are the guys who are probably going to end up not paying you anyway.
Yep.
So those were definitely low points though. Just getting burned, a lot in the beginning.
Yeah, I've been burned in my career as well, and I just call those life lessons that you pay for with your time. So,
right. And, one of the other reasons I try to be really positive about it was, again, like I was learning in the beginning. I was learning everything in the beginning. I was learning code, So I was like, well, maybe I didn't get paid, but I still had a learning experience for free. Like I didn't pay out of pocket, but I learned, some more code or whatever, and it didn't cost me anything other than my time. So.
All right. So, what is one of the long-term goals for either Revelation Concept or your next venture, which is mind-blowing things?
Long-term with Revelation Concept now is kind of just like my personal portfolio site, and I'm planning on taking a couple projects a year and putting them in that portfolio and just kind of keeping that running. It's really special to me because that's the brand that I started, and it did become very successful. So I don't want to just completely tank it. Also, it's incorporated, so my new business venture is actually rolled under Revelation Concept, so it's not going anywhere. But yeah, long term, I just plan on kind of keeping it around, just in case I ever decide to take a step back and go into what I was doing before. It's always there. And it does have a really strong correlation with my name. That's why I decided to, with this new venture, call it something else, because, like I said in the beginning, people kind of assumed I was an agency, but then started finding out that I wasn't. And it was like Revelation Concept was synonymous with Chris. Like we weren't, we were the same thing. So I definitely want to break away from that now with Mind Blowing Things, which is a San Diego North County digital creative agency. So all of the people working with me at Mind Blowing Things are local to San Diego for the most part. I've got a couple people in Chicago, but I'm not outsourcing to like India or anywhere. They're friends of mine, like people that I've worked with before. So plans for that, I'm kind of just going to let it go where it goes. That's what I did with Revelation Concept in the first place. I didn't push it. I just let it evolve. And I don't know. I like the idea of just a natural evolution for the company. If it really takes off, it really takes off. If it kind of just, coasts along and is good income, like that's fine with me. I guess I'm not like, I don't have huge dreams. I really don't. I just like to be comfortable and just kind of enjoy the ride. So again, my business coaching friends probably don't really like that plan all that much. But it worked really, really well to get me to where I am now. And I think it just kind of fits. So also, Mind Blowing Things is a cooperative. On the front end, client facing, it looks like a big agency. And technically it is, other than the fact that we don't have an office. And there's multiple reasons for that. one, a lot of the people that I'm going after are people that I don't want to have to micromanage. I mean, as far as employees, I want them to be like myself, who can be working in whatever environment they're most comfortable in working. If that's their kitchen, if that's their bedroom, like, I don't care. Just give me good work and give it to me on time. And I think that the people who are going to be doing that, they're totally fine working in their house. Like, if we all had to be in an office to actually make sure that things got done, I probably don't want those people in the office in the first place. Ultimately, I don't want to have to be anybody's boss. You know, I would rather just kind of do some creative direction and just have people perform. So I think that when you're working in an environment that makes you happy, that's when you're doing the best work anyway. So that's kind of the setup that we have. I've got a lot of local people doing work from I don't even know wherever they want. And we just turn out awesome projects. So
Nice.
yeah.
So during your last talk, I noticed that you were talking a lot about WordPress themes and what we should get, if we should get free ones or premium ones, and it was good information to have. But there was this one point in your talk where your eyes got actually bigger and you had more emotion in your voice when you started talking about the WordPress community and how you got into that community. What was it about the WordPress community that makes you very emotional about it?
So that's funny. I don't feel like I get emotional when I talk about it, but it is, it's definitely changed my life. Like, I would not have the agency and the client base that I have if it weren't for just WordPress in general. Because there was a point when I had, taught myself enough HTML and CSS to build static websites, but then I was losing clients to the question, like, well, can I manage my content? And I'm like, I don't know how to let you do that. Like, what? So I started hearing about, possibly using WordPress as a CMS. And at the time, like, it was literally theory. No one was really using it to do that. So if you even Googled it, there was like a couple of articles being like, well, you could probably if you did this and that. So it's really funny. And then I kind of was like, well, I feel like this is the closest thing and probably the easiest way to deliver that extra service to my clients without, having to go and literally learn like PHP from the ground up, which is going to take a while. So I just kind of jumped on board and started messing around with it. And then, just through Googling and reading articles, started to hear about these camps that were starting up. So I went to my first WordCamp, and it was in San Diego. And my brain was like, it felt like mush at the end of the day. Like, it was so overwhelming, just like the amount of information, but so exciting. Like, there was a couple of things that I learned at that camp that literally changed it, like made the decision for me, like, this is the right thing to do. This is the right way to go. I learned about custom post types and custom fields. And I was like, I can literally do anything with these two tools. Like, anything that anyone could want, we can build it now that I know about this, because I didn't even know about that stuff. So it just got me really excited, and I started going to a couple meetups in the meantime. And then full circle, a year later, I went to my next camp, and it was one of those points again where I was feeling kind of frustrated because I learned so much, but I felt like there was still so much more to learn, and I didn't really know like where to start. And I think, like, the web changes so much. I feel like a lot of us kind of feel like that a lot of the time. It's like, I just learned all this stuff, and now there's all this new stuff. Like, and you got to keep up with it.
Yep, one day we'll be making websites for watches, right?
Yeah, someday soon. So there's a lot of, if you're familiar with WordPress, there's a lot of like WordPress kind of like celebrities, like people who do awesome stuff and write a lot of articles, and people just kind of know about them. So I went to camp, and a lot of them were there. Like, a lot of these guys, they come in from all over the country, and all over the world too. So there was like some big names there, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, that's so and so, that's so exciting, and like they get up and talk, and we learn all these awesome things. And at the after party, my husband always comes. Like, he has nothing to do with any of like this tech stuff, but he's really supportive, and he always comes to the after parties with me. And I ended up talking to like Bill Erickson and Chris Lemma and Alex Vasquez, like all these people that I had like celebrity phobia. Like, I was like, I don't want to talk to them because I feel like I don't know enough, and I feel like, and I'm a girl, and like there's not a lot of girls that do like programming type stuff that are developers. So that's kind of intimidating just on its own. But these guys were so, so nice and gave me like the best like advice, you know, like just the entire night, just hours of conversation. Chris stayed with me after the bar closed till like 3 a.m. giving me business advice. Like he's like, you know, probably the best business minded person that I like could ever take advice from. He's just so smart. And I just couldn't believe it. Like I was on cloud nine for weeks after that, just being like, I can't believe these guys took time out of like this social environment to talk to me about business, to talk to me about like development and, you know, where I should be going with the direction I was heading. And it just got me like totally stoked on WordPress. So I go to all the camps that are at least in the SoCal area, Orange County, LA, and San Diego. And now these guys are like some of like really good friends of mine. And I couldn't believe it initially, even like from the first camp that I went to, how all these people are giving away so much information. No one's getting paid to do it. Like they don't pay these speakers. The camp itself only costs $40 and it's a 2-day thing with food. I'm like, how is this possible? Like in the real world, people are not this nice. It's like this weird like WordPress cult of like just awesome people. And it defies everything you know about business and, you know, especially coding. I mean, a lot of people, they code things and they lock it down and, you know, they don't want you looking at what they've done. And WordPress is the total opposite of that. Everything is open source. Everybody shares everything. And it just blows my mind. So I definitely knew that I wanted to be more of a part of the community. And the fact that I had worked on my own for so many years, you know, it's hard to learn when you don't have a bunch of other people around being like, oh, well, this thing came out and we should try this and we should do that. You know, like I don't like reading articles necessarily. So I don't do very good on keeping up on like what's changing and what's new. But now that I have all these other friends that do, you know, it's kind of like working for a huge Fortune 500 company. You've got all these people that are in the same industry as you, and they're all so friendly, and we share everything. And so, you know, it is like working at a big agency, even though I don't even necessarily work with any of these people on a daily basis. We all keep in touch. We've got our Facebook group that is getting close to 10,000 members. That's the local San Diego Advanced WordPress. And then, you know, the camps and all the celebs that come in.
Now, when you finally put down the keyboard and maybe the speaker mic, what do you envision yourself doing afterwards?
So, I don't know. That's a good question. I think that I will always be doing something in the web. I can definitely picture myself taking like a step back and doing more project management, which is sort of the direction I'm going in right now with mind-blowing things. My husband and I are planning on starting a family sometime soon. Oh. And the amount of hours that I put in, like literally sitting at a keyboard coding things, like it takes so much time and focus. Everyone's like, well, you work at home, you can do both. I'm like, no, you literally cannot do both. Like I can barely take care of my dogs, you know?
Because web designs fall from the sky, right? They're that easy.
Yeah, no. So I'm trying to get to a place where, like I said, I've got all these professionals who are self-sufficient and can do what they're told, you know, and I can kind of just take a step back from being so hands-on with everything. That also kind of makes me sad because I love that part of my job. So it's one of the reasons I'm planning on still taking projects through Revelation Concepts so I can still, you know, keep up. Because if I take too much time off of doing that and I ever want to come back to it, I'm going to have to start over. The web will be getting coded in HTML10 and I won't even know like what that is.
Holographic displays,
yeah,
and it's like Star Wars, like what's going on?
Got to keep up with all that stuff. But I think that project management would be a really good role, whether that's doing it still for my own agency or maybe coming in and helping some other people. Because I think that I have a huge leg up on that just with being a designer and a developer. Like I understand all aspects of the project. So it's kind of an easy place to fall into. Also, I've considered things like, you know, I actually hate public speaking. It makes me very nervous. I get super sweaty and shaky. So it's one of the reasons I started doing the meetups because they're smaller and it's good to build up to something like a WordCamp, which I've been asked to talk at a few times and I just haven't quite gotten there yet. Those crowds are really big. But I love teaching people. I love seeing them have that aha moment of like, just putting things together. And especially the people who came from that difficult place where I came from, where some front end code, but you don't really know how to make the connection to something like WordPress, where you can start integrating some PHP, and it really doesn't have to be that hard or that intimidating. I think, camps, keep talking at some camps. I love the idea of boot camps, just getting some people together for 8 hours and just like really giving them everything, all the tools that they need. And then at least they know how to ask better questions and search for better answers. So I think I'll definitely be around, or I'll just be doing the mom thing, but I'll definitely be teaching my kids, HTML by the time they're doing their alphabet. So
Nice. Can you imagine a world where kids know how to code before learning how to speak?
I think that would be a good world. I mean, there's just so much critical thinking involved with coding. I think it's super important to, let kids get into that, and like, don't underestimate how smart they are. They can learn this stuff when they're little.
Yep, that's true. Is there any one website or web app, mobile app, or something that you can tell us that gave you a great user experience?
Well, I like to self-promote a bunch of my website. No, I'm just kidding. No, recently, I really love the Pharrell 24 Hours of Happy.
Yes.
It's so fun. I love that song. Every time it comes on, it makes me want to dance. And I love the idea of like just the 24 hours of people doing happy stuff. I do think they could have taken it a step further and actually, been vetting some stuff on YouTube and changing it all the time, because I don't think they're doing that. But that site makes me happy. And then another one that I came across recently, I love food. I'm a huge foodie. If I weren't doing WordPress stuff, I'd probably be doing like food stuff somehow. But there's this really cool site. I think it's foodieguide.co.il.
Is that foodie DIE? So
FOODIE? FOODIE guide.co.il. And it's kind of a creative mix of like a food blog, but also kind of like a Yelp, where, it's not taking user feedback, but they have taken the time to go out and vet a bunch of restaurants and categorize them. And right now it's just in Tel Aviv, but I think they're going to plan on taking it to other cities. So it's just really cool, because I like knowing what I'm getting before I go to a restaurant. And Yelp is great for stuff like that, but a lot of people on there just like to complain, and they're not even necessarily foodies. They're just like, oh, the service was bad, 2 stars. You know what I mean? So I like to take advice on food from people who really know what they're talking about, and I think it's really cool to be able to just really easily go to a site, see really awesome pictures of food, because I like pictures, and then just kind of have all the work done for you, so you can just be like, oh, let's try that restaurant.
Okay, so is there anything else you would like to promote, or tell us more information where we can find you at?
Yeah, well, I'm at revelationconcept.com. I try to write articles there. They're mostly developer designer based. They're not really for my clients, but I'm not very good at that. I'm in a 3-part series, and people have been waiting for part 3 for like 2 months, so I think they're getting pissed off. And I'm not really good at Twitter, but I'm at RevConcept on Twitter. But promotion-wise, I would like to promote WordCamp San Diego, because I'm an organizer this year, and I'm really, really excited for the stuff that we're doing. It's a little bit different from what we've done before and what a lot of camps that I've gone to before have done. We're also at the Hall of Champions, so our venue is awesome, like really awesome. So and we're going to be bigger this year too. We're going to be selling some more tickets. That's the plan.
When and where?
So Hall of Champions is in Balboa Park, San Diego. And I think our dates are March 28th and 29th. So this is 2015 camp. I know a lot of people were like super worried, because we actually did not do a San Diego camp this year, sadly. But we had some leadership changes, which then led to some scheduling conflicts. So it didn't happen. But we have been planning this whole time for 2015. So it's going to be big. Like, we've been planning most of 2014. So
that's good.
Yeah. So it's going to be really great. So tickets will be about $40. That's a 2 days of conference, a full Saturday and like a half day Sunday. There's some food in there. And then we'll have our after party, which is fun. And there's usually some free drinks there too. So, I mean, you really can't get more bang for your buck. Like there's so much to do, so much to learn, so many people to meet. Yeah, I mean, if you're not familiar with WordPress, I really encourage you to come. We definitely will have topics for people who are new. And if you are using WordPress, definitely come because we're going to have a lot of ongoing education type stuff too.
Nice. You got a URL that people can visit?
It's 2015.sandiego.wordcamp.org.
Nice. Let me jot that down.
Here, I'll send you. There you go.
All right. 2015.sandiego.wordcamp.org.
2015.sandiego.wordcamp.org. And as soon as tickets go on sale, all the updates will be on this website. So subscribe, to the feed. And then also, I think there's probably a Twitter handle, which I'm not sure what that is. But if you just search, actually, our hashtag is usually WCSD, WordCamp San Diego.
And again, thank you to Chris from revelationconcept.com and Mind Blowing Things. I hope your two ventures grow even bigger, and I hope you get on that bigger stage into an even bigger one, and next thing you know, you live out your dreams and, have yourself a family and live out your life.
Thank you so much, and thanks for having me.
No problem. More information, just go to C-Space, that's the letter C, space.io. It's a beta site right now, but it's already live, so check it out. Thank you everyone for watching. I'll see you next week.